Hey, welcome to the Jet Stream. This is a live show where everyone's unscripted, unedited, and uncensored. Oh, it is a Tuesday morning here in California, and joining me today is the man that started it all, the YouTuber, Art.
You there, Jet? I
Tell the
couldn't hear
people.
you cut out.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the Jet Stream. We're doing a live show. Everything's unscripted again. And here today, joining me on this wonderful Tuesday morning is Mr. Sycra. Give it up for the man. You know him well. Yes, yes. I died when it started.
I died when it started.
Zenith says.
Oh, I'm gonna be keeping track of the chat, and Jet's gonna be doing the artwork.
Because it's kind of like flying a plane when you're doing a show, right? You gotta get all your references ready, your page up, your screen's all nice and tight.
Yep.
And then Sycra said, he's like, we're flying a plane. He said, "Oh no, I died already."
We already crashed before we began.
But I don't die. It's like those old school PC games that it's so hard to fly a plane. You die every time.
Yep.
Odd boy says, "Ooh, it's art." Yeah, we are going to art. Possibly Sycra will art.
Will I art? I won't art.
If you possibly.
When do I ever art? I never.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Not in real life. Not on the Hangouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Want to do a little roll call to say hello to the people out there. Who do we have today at this very moment? We have Javon. Nice to have you out here again. Nice and early, right on time. We got Sycra and Sycra, the evil one, Rexel, Youssef, Bartoma. But that's enough of that. Let's get on with the show. Things are good. How are you doing, Sycra? It's been such a long time since you've been on the channel. It's crazy.
It's probably been a few months, right?
Probably been, actually yesterday that I was talking to you, but on the channel, like, I think actually you were here pretty recently, but the thing was, we never really like officially like set it up, so it was just kind of spurs. So I think it's a little nicer to have you here today, where everything's just nice and where's the
very relaxed.
Yeah, let me just very relaxed. You just want to close your eyes, take nice deep.
Jet, we're flying a plane. Don't close your eyes.
Oh shoot. Okay, let me share my screen for my laptop.
You do that. And if you guys have any questions, just put. If it would really help if you write in all capitals question and then like hold on, I'll do an example. Question. How do you use
Dang. Can you see my screen?
I see your screen, but I don't see you drawing on your screen.
But do you,
I don't know. It's gonna. No, hold on. Let me open up the other thing so I can.
Do you see the white page?
The white page? No, I don't see. I don't see anything.
What the heck? Hold on a sec. That's strange. My computer shows a white page over here. Are you getting it now?
Yes, it is here now.
Okay, good. My desktop is just being.
Just make sure you click on your thing so it doesn't bounce around between us, though. I guess you already did.
Yeah, I did that.
You already did that. You are the main pilot. You know how to do things.
I got this, partner. You just sit tight. Just hang on tight. Smoke a cigar.
So, Javilian wants to know, what's the best way to get a lot of followers on Instagram?
Oh, I know what you can do. Every single day, just troll people's IG and just ask them to follow you. I'm not sure actually that works, but people do that sometimes. Okay, so actually I have some topics today. But before we get into the topics, I have a question for you, Sycra.
Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going.
What? No, 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 no. It's an easy one. Well,
Okay.
yeah. What should I draw? Should I draw a portrait of these K-pop girls?
Uh-huh.
They're sweet, pretty, cute. Their name is Kara. Or should I do a request that a friend had for me to do Harley Quinn, and that would be more of a pose type of thing. So pose versus portrait. Harley Quinn comic book, portrait, pretty anime.
Can you combine them in some way? Like use the K-pop pose and the K-pop everything and do the Harley Quinn on it?
Ooh, that's kind of interesting. But the Harley Quinn is the Marvel, the DC,
DC.
yeah, the DC clown. You know her. Okay.
Yeah, she's the Joker's girl
Let me see
thing.
if I can combine the two. No, because they're not all smiling and cheesy. They're just.
Oh.
I'm so cute.
I would like to see you do the Harley Quinn.
Okay. Okay. Let's do the Harley Quinn. Let's get loose with some sketches. Let's jump right into it with some sketches.
Are you? I think you might have to click your screen again because I don't see it in the main thingy. Like click the white one. I don't know how much lag there is, but
Yeah, I can't see it either. Let me see. Present to everyone. Maybe that'll work. The Jetty Jet Show is presenting to everyone. Okay, can you see it now? Are you looking
I have to wait. I have to wait for it to show up on YouTube because on my on the Hangouts it works. But that's because I clicked your name.
Okay. No, I was clicking the wrong picture and.
There we go. Oh, it still jumps around when you talk. It switches to the other one.
It does?
Yeah.
No, maybe it doesn't. I just clicked it. Maybe you just got to give it some time.
Okay. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, I don't want to bother them with too much.
There are no questions so far.
Okay.
Or if there are, people aren't following the.
I'm not even because I just woke up, you guys. I'm just like I don't care how I'm sketching. I'm actually kind of shaky too because there's a rush when you're flying a plane. Every time. It's not like a walk in the park. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm not even feeling it, but.
You're not. Do you do what Cynics does? Do you do warm up scribbles and stuff?
Never. This is my first time. That's why it feels weird.
Oh.
I'm just trying to scribble my drawing.
There is a question. I don't see it, Javoian. I don't see a question. There was a question. I don't see any. Okay, let's see. Question: how do you use? No, that's my own. Nope.
I have okay, let's go into the topics then. I have some topics prepared in case of situations like this. We want to talk about getting better today. The topic is getting better and getting better in drawing, because I think that's a concern that everybody has. I know I had it, and we all kind of want to get better. How do you get better? How do you get better? And why did I write everyone poops? Oh yeah, that's right. Don't worry, because everybody poops. Everyone poops. But we were talking to a friend of ours, Costa, and he is actually getting better. He's getting better. And I just wanted to point out the type of things that he was doing to get better. And it's really nice to see people improving because they're doing what we say they should do, or requesting or suggesting, and they actually listen, and then it actually pays off. It's really nice. So, well, what?
I was very happy to see his improvement.
Yeah. Well, what has he been doing? Did he tell you? Because I know what he's been doing.
Oh, we have a question now.
Okay.
Javelian asks, will you answer Quilmac's question? Are you going to make more tutorials for beginners? And this is to you, Jet.
Oh, yeah, of course I will. Of course. I will do that. I will actually I have a series from my old channel that I'm trying to get up, and it's a really good series. I haven't uploaded yet. I was like, oh, what the heck? Why isn't this up yet? But it's going to be the next step after drawing figures. It's going to be how to draw poses, and it's really beginner friendly because the poses are very basic. Right, yeah. So yeah, I was gonna say getting better is pretty much um draw. Just draw every day and make it
All the
consistent.
time. All the time. And it's better to use, like, reference selectively, I think. Like, not saying never use reference, but I think it helps to build up your imagination by drawing a lot from imagination and then doing some work from reference, like
Yeah.
a little bit of work for reference. But it's better, like, if you're trying to do a pose and you're trying to figure it out, try it without reference, see how you
Mhm.
do, and then when you're stuck and you're like, I don't get it, or this is the best I can do, then look at reference, and then it'll be like, oh, okay, so that's what I was missing.
Yeah.
I think that's much better. All right. Another question. Jet, can you make some mid-action pose tutorials too? Mid-action.
Ooh, absolutely. I will do the
That's kind of
mid-action
what you're
poses.
doing right now, right?
Yeah, it is.
Mid-action?
Well, these are actually I feel like these are just like kind of posing. What he means, I guess, is like mid-action, like mid-jump, mid-kick,
Oh, okay.
mid-sit down. I think those are the hardest ones actually. The hardest, and they're very subtle because we always want the extremes of the pose. The
Yeah.
mid ones are the difficult ones to pull off. Like um, I know there's a couple poses that I had trouble with, and it was mid. They're the most difficult, definitely.
Mm.
Hmm.
Do you ever like get up and actually do the pose physically?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that helps a lot. Like like before, I would have to take pictures of myself or have somebody take a picture of me, but now it's kind of just you feel the relationship between where your hands are to your body, and you kind of just um know after you've been doing it for a while. You know, like, oh, that's how far my hand reaches in, like, you know.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you? Do you? Do you do that?
Um, yeah, but probably not as much as I should.
Yeah. Not as much. I mean, I don't do it. I don't. Yeah, I don't do it. I do it when it's like like a really special task or something. I haven't done it in a while. Like
Mm.
some serious stuff when you get into your poses. So you want to be a super artist.
How do you do that, Jet? How do you be a super artist?
To become a super artist, you get into the chamber, a gravity chamber, and then you do push-ups. And
I know a
then
lot of astronauts who are super artists.
that would be true. That would be true. You would have to take it in stages. You would have to take it in stages if you want to be a super artist. Stages in a process. The part that we don't like the most is the easiest part of the process, and that is stuff like just practicing stick figures and skeletons and poses and gestures. I feel like we want to just jump in and make a beautiful drawing, so we skip all of that hard work, the tedious stuff. It's the tedious stuff that will help you improve the most. and then you will reach this point of improvement where you start noticing like there is a point where you reach in your process that you see like anything's possible. You're like, wow, I'm at that turning point, and I think that's where Costa is right now, because it reminds me of when I started making that kind of leap. I was like, whoa, I can do this. I really can do this. Yeah.
All right. T. Henri asks, how do you make drawing a habit? I struggle with it a lot because I always give myself extreme difficult tasks.
A habit. Ooh, habits are really, really good. Habits are things you do automatically and without like issue or struggle because it's a habit. So, how do you make it a habit? I think, luckily for me, I do it for work, so I have to do it, and it's not really a habit. But I think I would be pretty lazy even if I think I would be lazy to draw if I didn't have to draw. I think so. So I think that probably better if you answer that question because you draw pretty consistently.
Yeah, I did this whole thing on this exact topic. If you Google search 5 tips to help you draw more, you should be able to find it.
Yeah, I think I would have a pretty crappy answer for that. I would struggle.
Search for 5 tips to help you draw more, and maybe Sycra, and then I wrote this long article on exactly how to make it a habit. And the basic idea, though, for people who aren't going to look for that, is don't make it so hard that you can't do it. Make it something that you can achieve all the time. So the biggest key for me is not drawing a good drawing every day, but just doing a drawing every day. Once you take out that idea of this has to be a good drawing or this has to be what's in my head, I think that takes the pressure off, because a lot of people, they want to draw and they'll get excited about drawing, and I was like this too, and I'd get an image in my head like, oh cool, and I want to draw this, and then I would fail so hard that I wouldn't draw for months after that. And this was many years ago, but still, that's how I started out. I would just get really discouraged until I finally get the courage again to like, I feel like drawing again. But that was the problem, is that I was thinking I need to do what's in my head, or I need to do a good drawing instead of I need to do a drawing.
I think that's a really, really good advice. I'm actually like doing like this little push-up regiment. It's not really regiment. It's just a habit that I developed for myself. It's every single time I take a shower, I have to do some push-ups and pull-ups. And those few pull-ups are better than none if I didn't do any. So now I've done it for a year, and dude, my pecs have grown like I got man boobs, not the bad kind, like the good kind. And it's like this: if I like prepare myself to do an intense exercise, I don't want to do it because it's too much. But I know I only have to do like, well, I do now 100, but before it was just like 20. You know, it's like. I was like, oh, I only need to do 20. That's it. 20 push-ups, get in the shower. That's it. You know, it's not a difficult chore, or task, so it's easier to get into it, and it's easier to keep up, because the bigger things you do, or the harder the task, the harder it is for you to do it again the next day, because you feel like, oh, I've done something huge. I don't need to do it again. I already did a huge exercise. And then you put it off for another 3-4 months. So it's like same thing with drawing. If you did like a very intense, rigorous drawing that took so much energy out of you, it's gonna be difficult to want to do it again. Like you're gonna be hesitant. You're like, no, drawing's difficult. I don't want to do it. It's hard. I want to, but I don't want to. I remember that. I remember having that feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when.
Oh, go ahead.
The last thing, especially when I was first learning Photoshop, I was like, Photoshop's tough. Like, it's just stupid how paint or coloring and stuff. It just didn't want to work for me, so it just felt difficult and tedious. But yeah.
All right, we got some questions. Quillimax asks, have you ever heard of Huion graphics tablets? And if yes, what do you think about them?
I've never used it, but I know you have.
Yeah, I did a review on them.
Yeah, did a full
So
review.
if you look on Huion review something, but it was pretty short. They're just okay. They're okay. They're not like the best I've used, but they get the job done. Okay. Oddboy18 asks, to you, Jet, how often do you draw traditionally in your everyday life, or are you predominantly digital? Notice that you work on your laptop at your cafe place.
Oh yeah, I'm predominantly digital. I want to get back into traditional. I actually bought an ink pen, and I've been inking a little bit. If you check on my Instagram, I just started inking. It's fun. It's fun, and I realize how much I feel so stiff like when I'm drawing on paper. It feels weird because my brain's used to anticipating, and like digitally you have to kind of anticipate where your lines are going, so it's not direct, and just I felt this weird disconnect on the paper. I was like, what the hell? It should be the other way around.
Okay. Alright. Carnes Spears asks how to draw clean lines.
How to draw clean lines. How to draw clean lines. I always thought it was a matter of just process, and well, it is. A big part of it is process. Draw your really rough drawings, just like I am right now. Then clean it up with the rough draft version. This is what I would consider not a rough draft, but a layout where you're placing objects. Then you rough it in. That's like a first pass, and then you ink it. And then there's ways to talk about that a lot. But what I just recently discovered since I bought that ink pen was that inking isn't just swiping across and getting the lines to look right and undoing. Inking is a very steady, slow approach where you actually concentrate and go slow at the lines. Because when you're actually doing it traditionally, you don't have the privilege of undoing. So I found that when you ink traditionally, you will improve digitally. Like you will. Like I drew 3 drawings. If you go check it out on the Jetty Jet. No, it's just the Jetty Jet show on Instagram. You'll see 3 inks that I did. Actually, I can show you guys here. Would you guys like to see?
I think they would.
I think they would. Here. No, not my email. Jeez. Damn it. Hold on, I'll show you guys. I will show you guys just to make click away here. And then I'm going to ask you guys, which drawing should I do? Because I drew 3 poses.
Oh, cool. I like your traditional ones a lot.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, it's been so long. Like, it seriously has been about 4 years or so. Like, since school, I never had to really do anything traditional.
Yeah. I don't know. It's got a certain feel to it that I really like.
Thanks. Yeah, I liked it too.
You could sell these. You just do these and sell them. So.
Just sell them.
Yeah, you draw, because it means a lot more when you have something that you can hold, right? It's not like a print that...
There's only one.
There's only one of these.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking of doing that, but I feel these ones are crappy. Like, if you look at them, if they look fine, they look fine. Like, it's so funny. They look nice on Instagram, but if you look at them, dude, the inks are so dookie compared to like some ink artists out there, like comic book artists.
Oh. Well, I suppose so. I remember when I did first got like a G pen and I started using it and I ran into the exact problem you're saying, because I'm used to drawing really fast and then you can't draw fast. You have to draw like really steady and slow, or the ink doesn't come out right.
Yeah, exactly. And you only have one shot at it. I mean, you can kind of fix it sometimes if you mess up a little bit, but there's not very much leg room.
Yeah.
So you have to be really steady and just steady.
Yep.
Maybe I'll do it. I know I can't do it. I'm nowhere near like good enough to teach that. Maybe after I get good.
Come on now, Jet. You
No,
plenty good.
I want to get a little better first, and then I can teach it.
Okay.
So here it is. This is my Instagram, you guys, and here we go. These are some inks that I just did traditionally on a sketchbook. This is Tifa, my first one. I said, let's do something simple. So I sketched this out. That's pencil, and then I inked it. Like, inking, inking, the finish. And then there's this one, sort of online. The pencil, the inks, the, the, the finish. And are you seeing this, by the way?
Yeah, I'm seeing
Okay,
it.
okay. And then somebody requested I do Terra. I don't know who she is, but she was part of Final Fantasy VI. And
She's cool.
I just did it. Like, I thought, yeah, she's cool because she's not just your typical. And by the famous Final Fantasy artist, so I thought that was kind of cool, trying to mimic his look, but still keep it in my style. You know who I'm talking about? I think.
I am.
What's his name?
I know.
Yes, I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to get it wrong. Anyways, that was a big tangent. Okay, so here are some drawings that I did for poses. Which one should I turn into Harley Quinn?
All right. Why don't you put like numbers or letters beside them, and then
Yep.
people can like
I'm on it.
poop it out.
Poop it out for me, guys.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
more questions. How to draw a potato? Use your reference. Sycra, why is drawing with the right side of the brain a good book? I think it tells you to draw without looking at the canvas, which I think is dumb. When does it say that? I don't think it says draw without looking at it. Does it say that? Maybe.
I have that book. That was actually one of the first books I ever studied. It's
is it one
great
of the
book.
exercise? Yeah, it's a really good book. And the reason it's good, it's like, Javonian, when you say, I think it tells you to do this, which is dumb, I really disagree with people who use these blanket terms like, oh, this is dumb or this is stupid, because I think you can learn something from every discipline. There's something in there, whether it's blind contour drawing, which is kind of like that. You don't look at what you're actually looking at. You just look at where you're going and you draw. And the reason that's good is because it strengthens your hand-eye coordination. It makes your motor skills much more strong. And you start to develop the ability to not have to keep looking at the page. It's a little bit like if you've been writing a lot, you don't actually have to look at the page and you can just sort of write and it's still somewhat on a straight line. Maybe it's a bit off, but some people can do that. And then the other thing it does is it gets you out of this symbol mode of thinking where you look at an eye and you think of a symbol like an eye. And this is why we get things like happy faces, where it's like two dots and a smiley face.
Yeah.
Well, that's a symbol. That's not really what a face looks like, but it's a symbol. And it's the same with cars. You can look at a car and see in the headlights and the grill, you can see a face in there. But these are all symbols, and we're so used to seeing symbols that when we draw, and this is like you would see ancient Egyptian stuff, and you'll see like a side view face with a front view eye, because these are symbols. So if you want to draw realistically, you got to learn to draw what you see and not what you think you see. And I think for that, the book is very good.
Yeah. I think that's exactly why the book is so good. It's great for non-artists or not people who don't draw, because the class was filled. Like I took a community college course. That was like my first art class, and it was filled with people who don't draw. They just wanted to draw, and they were getting really good by the end of the class. they had, you know what I mean? They learned a lot, and I learned a lot. Definitely
Yeah.
learned a lot. We all kind of just, I was like, whoa, this is impressive.
Yep, it's not a bad book for a beginner. So when you say it doesn't teach you anything if you do blind contour, that's wrong. You'll get better at blind contour. You'll get better at drawing without seeing. And if you think that's not a useful skill, do figure drawing and do quick gestures of people in public. It's very helpful to be able to look at a person and be drawing them without having to look at them and then look down and then look up and then look down again. But I don't think it's essential. I don't think you need to do blind contours. I just think it's not useless. And I don't know if people, to me, when someone goes around saying like this is stupid and this is dumb, I don't know. It sets off this person is kind of inexperienced, because once you gain more experience, you'll learn to not make such blanket statements, because you find there are important things in a lot of different disciplines. And I mean, when I was in fine art and I was studying oil painting, it was almost like it was the cool thing to do, to look down on other people's work, to look down on like, oh, concept artists, they don't have good brush work, they don't have control, oh, these people need digital, animation is this. And I would hear this, and for me it was just weird. It's like, but this is one thing, like art is all together. It's not like, oh, animation has nothing of benefit and oil painting's the best and traditional painting is the best. It's not. It's just different. You can find good from a lot of different things, and I would say keep an open mind.
Somebody said on this drawing, and yes, I agree with exactly what Sycra said. Somebody said my poses are not aggressive enough, and now I'm like self-conscious, and I have to want to do some more. They're like not aggressive because I went for the cutesy Harley Quinn, the one that's playful and smiley, not the new modern one that's all bloodied up. Well, she's kind of in that situation anyway, but she's not all grungy. She's got a lot of leather and all this stuff. The new versions. What do you think?
I want to ask you this, Jet.
Yeah.
Do you think if you tried, you could do a very aggressive pose?
I think so.
Okay, so this is not a matter of skill then. This isn't that you can't do it. This is about a choice. And what was your original vision?
The cutesy look.
I think you should stick with your vision then.
And that's why you're a guru, man. That's why you're a guru. You're a manager.
I can be your manager, Jet. Draw more rat girls.
No, you are manager. Draw more rat girls, yeah.
How
Let's
to
go
draw straight lines and ellipses. I think that you answered that, right? How to draw straight lines and ellipses, or no?
No, I suck at those. I really, really suck at straight lines and ellipses, especially on paper.
Oh, okay.
Well, on Manga Studio, you have this click, hold shifts, and then stretch. You got a straight line. Ellipses, there's also a tool for that, but
Yeah.
I don't want to use that unless you like you're doing something mechanical.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like you need it too much when your drawings look fine.
Yeah.
They look very clean and nice. For me, I just practiced it. Like, kind of before I draw, I'll do some straight lines or ellipses. Or I tend to do them when sometimes you're drawing and then, or you don't know what to draw, or you've drawn something and you're kind of tired and you need a little break, but you don't want to completely stop drawing. I think ellipses are good for that, and straight lines. It's just kind of relaxing, like meditation.
Yeah.
Epfi Dude is asking something very strange. He says,
Uh-oh.
I turn my monitor black and white so I can study values when watching movies and browsing the web. Do you think it might be counterproductive because I might lose the sense for colors? So he actually turned his monitor black and white, not using like a value thing, but.
I don't. Well, I don't know. I've never tried it. Maybe it's useful. It sounds
I don't know. I've never tried it either. That's
kind of weird because you kind of do rely on color, right, to see the colors, but then you don't really see value. But if you're turning it off to see value, maybe it does help.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess Epfidude or Epfidude, you are a guinea pig, and you are doing an experiment.
Yeah, man, you're a visionary.
After you're done, you can tell us, like, I did it for 5 years. I only looked at my monitor in black and white. Now I'm colorblind.
Here's the thing about the drawing, about what the guy said about being not being aggressive enough. What I actually take when he says that, I think not aggressive as in like I want to kill you aggressive, but aggressive as in not sexy enough or not punched far enough to be. If it's cutesy, make it aggressive cutesy. You know what I mean? Be more aggressive with the cutesiness, and that right there drives me insane because I feel like maybe I can make it more.
Oh, you should do it then.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm giving him the shadow of a doubt. You're welcome, buddy.
Jetty, can you tell? This is from Quilly Max.
Oh,
Can you
no.
tell us some good books to learn drawing from?
Oh, drawing from the right side of the brain. That's a great one. Drawing from the right side of the brain. By Bradley.
You
Not
pissed
Barbara.
off Javoian.
No, don't.
It's by Betty Edwards.
Betty Edwards, yes. And then, okay, here's another good one, a really good one, by Barbara Bradley. This one's a really good one. It would be the next step after, I think, Betty Edwards, drawing from the right side. This is drawing people, how to portray the clothed figure. It'll teach you how to draw clothing, and actually that's the book that I use to learn how to draw clothing. And, yeah, so, drawing people.
That's cool. That's useful, because you draw clothing really well.
Oh, thanks, Sycra. You're too kind.
All right. Maciej? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not pronouncing your name well, but this person asks, what is the best way to learn drawing for beginner drawing on time, like quick poses or just drawing simple poses without time limit?
A book?
He's asking, should you do the poses, like figure drawing, I guess, should you do it timed or without a time limit?
I think it depends, right? If you're doing gestures, I think it's good. It's very good to do timed.
Yeah.
And that's a practice we do traditionally. We practice on a timed.
Yeah. It also helps you to know that you're getting better because it's like, okay, let's say it's 2 minutes. At first, maybe you'll just draw ahead and then 2 minutes is up or something. But later, it's like, wow, I'm getting faster because I'm able to draw more. And more in 2 minutes. I remember when I was doing figure drawing a lot, it would be this thing of, at times, it would be 2 minutes, but I would think it's 5 minutes because I thought, like, no, surely this can't be 2 minutes. It's I got a lot more done. Or they'll do longer poses, and then it's like, I'm already done in the first, 6 minutes. And it might be a 10-minute pose, and it just feels like, wow, 10 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was going the other way, and I had an hour to draw, it felt like I never had enough time. So I guess when you do it a lot, but you got to be doing it a lot. You can't just do it one time and then be like, oh, it's not helping. You got to do it hundreds of times.
It's funny because I remember how I used to do figures. I would be focused on each individual kind of detail and line as I would sketch and actually try to build the form and stuff. But now I've come to the point where I use scribbles to tell me which way things are going. Like, they tell me exactly everything I need. Like this hand, if you can see, this is what I need. I need the angle of the hand, the angle of the forearm, the angle of the hand, and I'm not even worried about where the muscle is. And if I need to push it even more, then I would change it. I would literally change the angle and yeah, angles and proportion. The length of this line the length and the angle is all I do now. It's just to build my sketch, and then I start to put form over it. Scribbles, sketching with scribbles. Is that crazy?
I don't think it's crazy. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like line economy. Like, you're trying to capture the most with the least strokes, the least amount of strokes And what can you capture in the least amount of strokes? The angle and the proportion, the length of the line. Sometimes I will do, of course, it jumps back and forth. Sometimes I will do forms like this hip here and stuff. But that's not necessary for me anymore. Before I would have to go hip, bone, and then the hip bone comes out, and then you do the bones and stuff like that. But that's good if you're still learning. But, so yeah, you can do a lot just from scribbles.
Oh, that's the good advice we came here for.
What do you think, guys? Did anybody like put in their votes? Okay, this is number 5.
Yeah, there's a lot of votes, but I couldn't count them.
Okay, cool.
Harsimran asks, who was the author? Who is the author of the second book you mentioned?
Barbara Bradley.
Barbara Bradley. I'll type that in.
See, I gotta put my hand up now to figure out how her hand would be. See, I just lift it up, and then I just lift it up and put my finger on my cheek. It's gonna be one finger, not like a peace sign. And I already know the angle. See, the angle on the orientation of the hand would be 1/3 thirds pointing upwards, like this. See, just by using a crosshair and this scribbly box, 1/3 up, like that, and then a foreshortened forearm. That's it. Just by holding my hand up. So it's feeling out the pose rather than seeing your pose. Does that make sense?
A lot of sense.
Made a sense. I think I like this one. She's playful, cute, maybe. But then people put up the votes, right?
Are you still screen sharing? I don't see your screen anymore.
Oh, something happened with the connection really quickly. Hold on. So hopefully they got that little part where I was talking about the hand and the orientation.
Mm-hmm.
Because before it was so flat, and then once I put up my hand, I realized the palm is facing up towards the sky, but only 1/3. So I put this crosshair. I wouldn't put the crosshair, but for example purpose. See, I'm using crosshairs for the face, just to tell me the orientation of the face. I can choose any direction. She can be looking over there, just by putting this crosshair. Yeah. So what do we have? Did they? I'll look at it. What should I do? Which one did they like? They said 5. Number 5. Okay, I said number 5. Just one number is good. 5.
Yeah, 5.
Okay. Yeah, I got 1 5. Okay, cool. Let's do 5.
Did we have a topic that we're going to talk? Because I looked at your description where we're talking about we're supposed to explore outer boundaries and stuff. Did we do that? Did we explore the outer boundaries?
Okay, let's talk about the taboo as I do this. So basically, I would like to ask you, what do you think? Well, the topic is fan art versus original art.
Uh-oh.
The fan art people versus the original art people, and what can you gain from both? And what can you lose from both? Or not lose, what you may be missing out on. And so I will let you go first. What are your opinions on fan art?
I think fan art is a very good way of getting noticed, because what you're doing is you're creating a picture and you're already capturing people's attention, because these are characters that, I mean, let's say you like a character and then you see someone do fan art of them. It's like, well, you already know this character, you're already emotionally invested. And so it's a cool way of showing like your take on it. And also, because you've done your take, you're gonna be different than the original character because it's just you. It's your style. It's gonna come through. And if it doesn't, that too shows something. It means okay, you don't have much of a style. But let's say you drew Harley Quinn and you drew her. You're gonna draw her different than anyone else would. So because people are already familiar with what this character looks like, they're gonna see more of you in a way by you doing a character they've already seen, because it's like, what are the slight little differences? What makes you different than everyone else? Whereas if you drew an original character, everything is different, right? They're not going to see like, oh, this is 90% the same, but these things are what make Jet Jet. They're just going to see a completely original, this is Jet in his purest form. And so what happens is people usually get into fan art, and it's a good way of getting acquainted with someone. Like, oh, okay, this is the new guy, and this is his thing. And then when they go into the original work, it's like, oh, now you're not used to the character that the guy drew. It's not like, oh, I like Harley Quinn, he drew Harley Quinn, therefore I'm starting to like him. You're like, I like this artist, and let's see what else he draws.
I think that was really nicely said. That was really good. Really good. You actually gave a process to to how to approach fan art, not just what your opinion on it is. It's cool.
What's your opinion on the whole thing?
Yeah, after I figure out which outfit I want, should I go for the original or just like one of these new kind of outfits?
I don't know anything except the 90s. Like, all my characters are the ones I saw on the TV shows and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Or in early comic books, so I don't know the new stuff.
Yeah, right. The old comic booky stuff. Okay, let's go for the old comic booky stuff. Yeah. I'm going for the original kind of stuff. Or wait. Okay. Anyways, my opinion on the fan art. Yeah, because we're doing fan art. Wow. Because we're doing fan art, and it's related to the show. My opinions is very, 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 very close to what Sycra said. Pretty much the same thoughts on it. But the thing about fan art for me is like, crap. It's hard to gather my thoughts and try to draw. Yes, people can relate. People know what you're drawing, and they automatically can see it. And that's what's so good about it, is that you don't have to work for the notoriety or the fame or the, you know, people can already associate and relate with the drawing because it's a famous character. So everybody who sees it will be like, oh, Harley Quinn. And that's kind of the advantage of doing fan art. And like Sycra said, it's a great way to get your drawing and your work out there, you know, get your foot in the door, because once they see your drawing, they might want to go in and see some more of your stuff. I think that's great, and that's a great thing about fan art. And another thing about fan art is that it's good for business, because it's commercial. And my brain's not even working. Commercial work. My brain isn't working. Anyways, about original art. So versus original art, what do you think?
For me, personally, I am actually drawn to original art much more. Because I've seen, I mean, sure, it's cool, like, okay, you drew a character that exists, but what do you have to say? Like, what worlds are in your head? But that's just me personally.
Yeah.
I kind of am all about, I want to see new stuff. I want to be, I mean, when I read a book, part of it, or I watch a movie, part of it is very much about the surprise. I don't want to know what happens, so I don't look at trailers, because it's like, that would ruin it for me. But I know a lot of people who, the first thing they do when they read a book is they'll read the last page and see, you know, where does this end up? And then for them, the experience is more, you know, discovering, okay, how did you get from point A to point B? I already know you're going to end up in point B, but how did this happen?
All right. Right.
So, what do you think? There's any downsides to fan art?
Downsides, yeah, I think just like you said, it's not your own, and you might rely on just someone else's thoughts and imaginations because it's all the information is there, and you're not really working your own muscles in creating something new. So
Yup.
yeah. As far as original art, for me, I felt like I started off a lot drawing a lot of original drawings, like because once I as a kid, all I did was copy, right, up to like maybe fourth grade, just Dragon Ball Z and stuff, and I started realizing, hey, I can just draw eyes, like I don't need to draw anime like that. I know I could just draw the eyes, and I started doing eyes and hair, and I'm like, this is nobody in from an anime or a cartoon. I just started drawing my own stuff, and I started doing it more and more, and I just realized I was like, yeah, I think it's more rewarding to produce something of your own. But the sad thing about that today is that people will look it over unless it's really phenomenal. You know,
Yeah.
they'll just if you're just decent, they're just gonna look you over and just be like, oh, original drawing. Like I was at Fanime, and there were a lot of really talented people who were doing um, personal stuff, personal original art, but they weren't getting the attention that they deserve, and that's understandable too. And like people are there to enjoy the things that they like, and if you're drawing what people like, they're gonna gravitate towards it. Um, yeah, those people were really good, but they were doing original art, and people would just walk by and look over it, and I would stop and look at them and talk to them, and be like, hey, that's some good stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, when we walk around, like when we're walking around, we can identify things that are fan art because you can tell the characters are very developed, and you're like, oh, that's immediately that's from the cartoon. I don't know, like Evangelion or Cowboy Bebop. Um, but then when you see all this original art, you kind of just you're not sold on it. You're not sold on the story. You don't know the character. You don't feel anything from it other than it's someone else's character. And that leads me to my other point and success and finding success. The other topic. In finding success. And it touches on the thing you said. It gets your foot in the door. So if you're doing fan art, maybe it'll give people or it'll bring people to your work. And
Mhm.
yeah, so if you start with fan art, you know, maybe have your work on the side and it'll invite people to your artwork. So can you give us a little bit on that? Because I'm like totally
Okay. I'll try.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think yeah, it should be an introduction. I remember when I was collecting comic books, there was a period where Joe Mad and J. Scott Campbell and Humberto Ramos they left to create their own thing called Cliffhanger Comics, and so they came out with their own IPs. Joe Mad came out with Battle Chasers, and J. Scott Campbell came out with Danger Girl, and Humberto Ramos came out with, I think it was Crimson. And it, to me, when I was looking through their sketches, because they had like a sketchbook before they actually came out with the real comic, and when I was looking at that, it was so much cooler because it wasn't just Spider-Man. It's like or whatever character. It's like, this is what you really want to do. I see your passion in this. This is what you would do if no one's telling you to draw. And there's something special about that when someone is actually invested in things. But I find that I probably wouldn't have known them if they hadn't done work for someone else.
Right.
Especially in that time, because there wasn't the internet, or at least it wasn't a big thing. See, now it's a bit different because if you draw well enough, even if you're doing original work, you've got a fighting chance. But at that time, it was like you've got to work for somebody.
Yeah.
You've got to create some product first, and then get known as being very good in that, and then people are more willing to look at your own stuff. But there's also another side of fan art, which, like, for me, I'm really bad at it. I wanted to not be. I wanted to even the fan art that I actually like. I'm actually terrified of doing it because I don't want to do a bad job on it. Like the characters I really like, Final Fantasy VII. Is probably my favorite game, and I don't want to do drawings of that because it's like I'm not there yet. I have a vision in my head, but I cannot pull it off yet, so I don't want to do it. But the characters I don't really care about as much. I want to do it, but I just don't feel the passion for it. And so I thought, okay, to do this, you've got to be very passionate about the characters. And when I was at the Eastern European Comic Con, I asked one of the girls who was doing a lot of fan art, because she had so much fan art of so many different series, and a lot of it was anime, or almost all of it was anime. And I was asking, like, do you like all these characters? Do you have like a connection with all these characters? And she told me straight up, like, no, I don't. Most of these I don't even know. I just heard that they're popular, and so what I do is I just type in their name in Google, see a bunch of images, and then draw them. And I said, well, but how do you get any connection then if you don't have a passion? She's like, I just like the designs. The designs are usually nice, so I just focus on that. And so that was very enlightening to me. That, like, oh, okay, I don't think I could do that. It's just not me to have no connection to a character I'm drawing. Or, I mean, it would be easier for me to draw a character I hate who I think is really ugly, because then I could at least design what I think is like, well, this would be much cooler if you did that. But if I see a character that's done really well, it's like, well, why should I draw that? It's already kind of done. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very
nicely said.
Epfi Dude asks, do you realize that by making videos and tutorials for free, you create and increase your own competition in the future? What do you think about that, Jet?
Increase your competition?
Yeah, because you're making videos for free and tutorials for free, so you're just going to be making, increasing your competition because people are going to know what you know, and then they're going to...
Oh, yeah. No, I don't. Well, I don't agree with that, because I mean, I think there's going to be a larger like total of artists out there, but I think that what makes me an artist, or makes me is going to stay true, because no one, you know what I mean? It's like, even if you teach what you know, not everyone's going to like become you. You're still gonna retain your uniqueness, unless somebody because there's some people out there, unless you like study it religiously, my style or your artist's style, it's so hard to talk and draw. But what do you think about that?
It's really hard to talk and draw.
Yeah. Right now, my brain's really working to figure stuff out right now. It's not
all right. I will stop asking you so much. And
no. You should. It's good. I think it's good practice. But back onto the fan art thing. I had something to say, and my brain just. I was gonna say. Okay, never mind. Stupid. I'll say it when
Is it really stupid? Or is it the kind of stupid that might be helpful?
I think it's the stupid that's helpful.
Well, then say it.
No, I'm trying to remember. That's the problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
Air asks, how do you feel while doing this type of video?
I feel pretty good. It's hard to talk and then try to concentrate because I want to make something good. But yeah, I think it's good. I mean, this is the kind of video that we do often. We've done this before. I think it's nice.
Yeah.
Sharing our thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm looking for more questions. Remember, guys, if you want me to see your question, if you could write in all caps question before, that really helps, because then when I'm scrolling through, my eyes just stop on the one that says question. Okay, if I do it again. I listen to almost every live stream of yours. Now I am running out of entertainment while drawing and practicing. What do you listen to when you draw all day?
Ooh, I listen to a lot of things. I listen to music. I actually like amass a large collection of just random songs from everywhere, and then I just put it on random. I think that's what I do. And then I also um listen to documentaries and live streams from other artists. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I listen to two types of things. One, it's what you said, usually like other artists or stuff, but I can only do that when I'm rendering, when I'm doing kind of mindless stuff. When I'm focused, and I just have to put on headphones and like listen to stuff I've already heard, because otherwise I'll get really distracted.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now for me, I feel like I'm at the focus stage and it's hard to do two things. But when I'm just rendering, dude, I can just talk and
Okay.
yeah.
This is a question you might be able to elaborate on, but it's Level Up 1 says, when someone commissions you guys, do you guys try to talk with the client to change and show ideas of your own to make the picture better?
Oh.
You've had some experience recently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, your job first and foremost is to make your client happy with good art, so you should always put out your best effort and stuff like that. But sometimes your ideas are not what the client wants. So it's like a balancing act. Sometimes should you just stick and keep your mouth shut and just do what the client says, or should you really try to impress them? I found it that if there's just different types of clients, and just figure out, for me, okay, if it's the one that doesn't want to hear it, I've learned to just give up and just say, you know what, it's easier, just do what the person says, don't worry about it too much, because before I used to stress out about it and actually try to win the person over, like, look, dude, I can do something, I can do this, how about it? Like, no, I don't want that, I want mine, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which can be painful sometimes.
it can be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cram Theodore asks, I guess this is another Jet question. What do you think of fetish artists?
Fetish artists? I think to each their own, pretty much. I think everybody has a right to it. We're all a little weird. We all have like fetishes, but some are more accepted than others, and that's the only difference.
Okay. Javolian asks, how do I find commissions? Where do I look? Who do I ask?
That's a difficult one, because when I was looking, I wasn't having very much luck, and it wasn't until I stopped looking that, well, I didn't stop looking. It was like the work came to me, and then I just stopped looking because I didn't have to. So I was fortunate enough to be in that position. But DeviantArt is a great place to do it, and to post your work. And if you're good, then you will be noticed.
Yeah.
You get work.
It's one of those things of you got to be constantly posting, and then, like, okay, so there are clients that will look at places like DeviantArt and even Facebook, but I think DeviantArt's easier. And what they're looking for is, first of all, they're usually, if you're looking for studio, if you're looking for private commissions, I mean, it's the same thing, but it's a little bit different because they have an idea of what they're looking for. But with studios, they tend to be looking for someone who can do the work that they need. So if you want to do trading card stuff, if your work already looks like, oh, it would fit into that, then if your level is high enough, they're more likely to contact you. And then the other thing is they want to look at your output, because they want to see is this person uploading regularly or not? Now, why is that important? It's because if you're not uploading regularly, they're going to look at it and they're going to think, this guy's good and he's got the art we need, but he's probably already hired because he's not uploading regularly. That means he's got a job, right? So they're going to think like you've got a job. Whereas if you're uploading regularly, it's more a case of like, okay, this guy's got time on his hands. He's probably not working for somebody. He's uploading every day, or she is uploading every day, and so they're more likely to contact you. But again, the biggest thing is that you need to be good, and it's one of those things of once you start getting like beyond a certain threshold, you might get the attention of people who will just ask questions like, do you do commissions? And they're looking for maybe $5 commissions.
Yeah.
And you might want to do it just for experience. You might want to just, for practice, you might want to try that. And then, you know, after a while, it'll be people who are willing to pay you a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. And eventually you might get the attention of... You want to finish this, Jet?
Yeah. Here's a tip that I can give you guys that I think might work. Two things. If you want work, first of all, figure out what kind of work you like, and and cater to that community of whatever like art it is. Like there is a niche group for everything, for every fetish and what's the term for that? For every group, all right?
Every niche.
Every niche. Yeah. So if you say, for example, I like, not me, but if you say you like
Furries.
Muscular girls, right, or furries, for example, yeah, muscular girls or furries, you know what I mean? Then draw a buttload of it, and you will most likely get contacted by the people who have money in that field and like your work or like and want to see something done. Also, if you, for example, like video games or popular stuff like RPG and like shooter games and AAA games and stuff like that, do art related to that stuff and do a buttload. The only problem is, do you have a larger pool of competition?
Yep.
Just larger competition. So if you narrow down the type of genre that you're working in, and you'll have better luck. I think that was one. I think there was two things. My brain is having trouble. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Figure out a niche, and if you like something kind of not so commonly liked, then you should do it, because you will get...
Yeah, you'll be the one guy doing that, or one girl doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Hunter asks, do you prefer
because this is important. Because it's like... I remember. My brain finally remembered. Okay, so if you don't know, like I was gonna say RPG. Okay, if you were to give yourself a project, give yourself projects. Give yourself projects instead of just drawing aimlessly. Give yourself a project. Imagine yourself as a character designer for a game, for example. And then you have to draw the whole cast of characters. So now you have a portfolio. You drew 50 characters. It shows that you actually, it looks like you worked on a project. You can complete it. You're consistent, and it shows you your range of styles, and it's a theme. It's a themed work, and it looks more professional that way. So give yourself a project, whatever it is, even if it's, for example, if it's in a game, you can do the characters, or if you wanted to do like the armor or the machines, cars, automobiles, landscapes. Just do a complete series of whatever you like, whatever you think of, and you will draw a lot of attention.
I think that's great advice. And I was talking to a guy recently. He's a Romanian guy, and what he had done is he built basically an adventure game, but he just did the visuals for it, like all the assets. So he did all the backgrounds, all the characters,
Hmm.
came up with the plot and everything as if it was a real game. And
Yeah.
then what he did is he just contacted a mobile company and he's like, look, do you want this? Like, all you need to do is program it, do all that, but it's done. Like, it's ready to go. Just buy it off me. And they did. And
Hmm.
so it's a thing of like, I thought that was really smart. I never thought of doing it that way. Because if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense for a company that all they want to. Because usually with businesses, you have to remember, although as artists, I think we're more about like, let's create something people would love. Let's create something that expresses ourselves. Let's create stuff that we wish was out on the market. But for a lot of businesses, what they're doing is they're looking at what's popular,
Yeah.
and they're trying to think like, I just want to make money. If this is popular, I just want to do a clone of this and make money. And so if you create something, they're like, oh, so I don't have to hire an artist. I don't have to do a background. Like, I see the quality. I see that it's consistent. All I need to do is buy it off you. And granted, it was a smaller company that I'm sure picked it up, but still, I mean, it's an idea that something I never thought about before.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I initially wanted to talk about when I was talking about original work and then commercial work, because this is kind of tied to that whole commercial and original thing, and not being and risking the okay. The dream of an artist, for me anyway, because it's not for everybody, and I've spoke to people and I was kind of like, what, really? You don't think the same way? Which is good. People shouldn't think the same way. But anyways, the dream that I have is to create my own story. And I think that's the ultimate goal in my career, is to be able to tell my own story. And if I were to do it without a following, will people come and see it? Will I draw the attention that I want? I don't think I will. I don't think it's as likely. It's possible, but it's not easy. It's difficult. Say you had a really cool, unique story, and you drew it all out. You can have a small following, I think. But if you build a large base of fans and audience, and then share your story and your world, then they'll be like, oh, that's that person's art, and then you can kind of remove the shackles of fan art,
Mm.
and then explore your own art, and then create a fandom based off of your story. I think that's the ultimate dream, is to have people draw fan art for your story. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I think that's.
Because the thing about fan art is it's there's a story. It's obviously done by a large company with money, so there's going to be, a large budget, nice colors to the animation, and there's just everything to it, and it touches millions. And for you as an artist, to just do it on your own, it's difficult to achieve that kind of fame and popularity. As a, I mean, fame and popularity, like a TV show could, because it just airs on TV or on the internet, and everybody has access to it. So for you to kind of for like an artist to try to achieve that type of popularity, I think the best way to go about it is first do things to appeal towards the masses, just to get them interested in your work.
Mm, I think that's.
Partly, you don't have to do it all the way. You know what I mean? You can do half. You don't need to just because it. And that goes back to what Sycra was saying. I think it's great that you can do your own stuff, and I respect that a lot. But about artists, like, man, this is like nothing I've ever seen. Anyways, I think we're beating a dead horse. Horse is dead.
Oh no.
Um,
Okay. Do you prefer cell shading or smooth shading as Hunter?
I do both.
Me too. Um, okay. Dylan asks, I'm guessing you are aware of your YouTube demographic. Do you ever feel like your audience won't fully grasp some of the topics you want to mention in your videos due to a lack of mileage?
Shoot, that's a freaking good question. That is a really good, really good question because I think about that. Like, there are some really famous YouTubers, not you, Sycra, big names, a big name out there, who keeps it at a certain level of complexity, and I think that helps him,
Hmm.
them. And if you make it too complex, I feel like you kind of scare people away.
Hmm.
So I feel like sometimes by talking about all this kind of deeper kind of things, I don't think it's too deep, but you know what I mean. It's maybe a little more out there than your average 8-year-old or 10-year-old would consider.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty tough. It's something I think about a lot as well. And in my in my next tutorial, so I guess it's going to be released tomorrow at the airing of this thing. So
yeah,
anyway,
watch
uh,
Sakra's channel, you guys.
yeah, I upload
Watch
new
this guy.
videos every
He does YouTube.
Wednesday.
He does YouTube.
Um, but anyway, so on my video that I'm releasing,
Yeah.
I ran into this exact problem where I was
Yeah.
teaching a bunch of stuff, and then I realized like, oh, this is advice, but it only works if you're beyond a certain level,
Yeah.
and so
And there's not
that,
very many people beyond that certain level. That's the thing.
yeah, and it gets to this point of like you tell people like you need to be drawing a lot, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to express like, okay, so we could talk. I'm sure he won't mind too much, but we can talk about our buddy Costa and how in the beginning he would keep asking me, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I kept telling him the same thing, like, dude, you need to be drawing. You need to be drawing this. You need to be drawing that. He wanted to know how to get good at comics and poses and stuff. I'm like, you should be drawing comics and poses. And what he would keep doing is going back to his comfort zone, which was doing like painterly portraits. Um, and eventually, he's just started listening to us, and he just started drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's improved a lot because what happens is when you draw over and over again, it's rewiring your brain. And especially if you do stuff from imagination and if you keep trying and you keep experimenting, you do one pose, but not just once. You do it a bunch of times or you do minor variations. All that adds to your experience. And then you get to a point where all these tutorials start to make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know how old people are, but when I was younger, you listen to radios, and especially the radio, or just music in general. And let's say you're like a little kid, and you haven't fallen in love yet, and all these songs are talking about love, and they mean nothing to you. It doesn't really make any sense. But after you've fallen in love, or you've had your first broken heart, or something, you listen to the songs like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that, but instead of falling in love, you got to draw a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so the demographics of people may have not fallen in love yet.
It's really tough because especially like for me as well, one of the biggest problems is the size of my following. I've gotten such a large audience that most of them probably won't benefit from the tutorials now, especially if they're used to. I mean, they'll get something out of it, but it's less than if they were drawing all the time. Like, how many of them are drawing every day? Because if they were, they would get a lot more out of it, I think.
And I think that's fine too, because I think there's two things to YouTube. There's one entertainment, and then there's one for actual knowledge and education. And I think you've reached that soft spot, that nice spot where people can come just for the entertainment, and that's great.
I don't think I'm very entertaining though.
I think so.
No. I'm glad you think so.
Yeah, man, that's what, like, shoot, listen. And
No Name No Number One says, do you guys feel guilty too when you don't draw for a day or two, or is it just me?
I used to. I definitely used to. When I was in high school, I took like the whole time off. I just didn't draw. I probably drew my sketch, like my notes, my homeworks. I would always draw eyes on the side, eyes and faces, but I didn't draw like when I was in, well, before, like elementary school probably. I would actually dedicate time to sketch and actually ink it over, even though I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing things that were actually helpful. I was actually doing things I'm doing now. I would actually trace over my rough drafts with a clean piece of paper over like a window. Like I would tape my drawing up against a window during the daytime, and then like draw over it because you can see through it, and it would be like my light box.
Cool.
Yeah, and you know, that was like a lot in elementary school, and I remember after I stopped doing that, I was just like, man, I should draw. I should do this. I should do this. I should do this, and I never really did until I went to college. Oh shoot.
That's cool though. For me, it's 2003, I think, when I decided I would draw every day, and since then I haven't not drawn since, not once. So I think it's more a thing of like, do I feel guilty? Well, no, because I draw every day. And how do you draw every day goes back to what we're saying about making it a habit, because you really can make it so you draw every day. I would assume, unless maybe one day you get in a terrible accident, someone cuts off your hands or something. It's like, sure, you got a good excuse. But
yeah, well, yeah, it can happen.
Yeah. Okay, so Air asks, do you guys have done or will do basics-based videos?
Oh heck yeah, absolutely. I have a buttload of those planned ahead, and I think that's okay. That actually brings me back to one of my thoughts about like the demographic thing. When I was younger, and I was watching Saturday morning Saturday morning cartoons, there was this channel called the Animation Station, or I think it's the Animation Station, and all they did was draw boxes and little hot dogs coming out of the boxes with happy faces on them and hands saying hi, hello, hi, and that's all it was at Saturday. And it was the most magical feeling to see somebody draw on TV, because no one in the whole neighborhood, not even your school, drew. And to see somebody doing that on TV was just magical. It was just, I think that's what makes us different. People who are drawn to that stuff, I don't think a lot of people would look at that and say, whoa, that's magical. But the feeling that I would get, I was just like, this is just incredible. And let alone like a comic book artist drawing in front of me, you know? Like if I ever saw like a print, I'd go insane, because we didn't have the internet. We just like.
I guess that's the magic that people won't be able to feel as easily, because I mean, right now, people have access to so much, and on one hand I'm very envious. It's like, man, when I was young I didn't have any of this.
Yeah.
And especially when I see how people are improving, like they're younger and younger kids are drawn better and better, and there's just so many of them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of feel like there's also a lot more entitlement, I guess, like an expectation of this should be available for me, and you should do this, and you should do that, and like good art is expected, and because of that, I think it's more difficult, and there's also people are missing something. I feel just a little bit.
Yeah, I agree, and it's never going to be the same. We're flooded with images. I think it's not a bad thing. It's just something that they won't experience the way we will. I mean, they'll experience it differently, and become introduced to things in their own way. And hopefully you guys still have that magical spark, and that's why you guys are here. You guys see a magical spark somewhere. But as far as the whole drawing for more basics and stuff, I think that's going to be important. That's going to be very important in the future for me. I mean, I want to get out all the like really kind of the critical, like fundamental things that are really important for like serious artists, but then later just kind of screw around and just fun stuff, like just really simple fun stuff, like just eyes and faces and body proportions, things that people will be easily related to.
Well, Jet, you got 138 people watching right now.
No way. That's because of you. You drew them all here.
I didn't draw them. You've been drawing all this time.
I drew them.
You drew them.
I did, didn't I?
Now they're your responsibility. You gotta take care of them.
What am I gonna do with them?
You got enough money to take care of them? Do you have shelter for all these people?
There's too many, Sycra.
Okay, Carnes asks, how do you draw straight lines traditionally? maybe you could give some exercise to practice. Okay, Carnes, here's what you do. You draw 2 dots, and then you connect them with a straight line. That's it. You do that a bunch of times. You make the dots further apart and closer together. But I think the secret to that is what you want to do is ghost. And Feng Zhu and Scott Robertson both talk about this as well, which is you are not actually drawing the thing. You're putting your pencil just a bit, or your pen just a bit above where it would be on the paper to make that mark. And you ghost it, like you pretend you're making that mark. You do it anyway. You make the motion, and then when you feel like your arm is ready to make that mark, where you feel like, yeah, I'm going over that line and I'm connecting these 2 points, then you put your pen to the page and then you draw it. And there's another trick to drawing straight lines, which is when you draw, never look at the tip of your pen or your pencil. Never look at that. Always look at the end where you want your pencil to go. And that will make your eye draw the straight line. So, and I mean, it's still like not perfect. You still got to practice a bunch, and I still have trouble with it. And some days I can draw better than others, but it's a good practice.
Yes. Ghosting is good. Ghosting is good.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn because I got a syntake. People know already from my other episodes, and you know too. But I had to learn kind of a new muscle in my brain because it is different from Wacom pad, and also different from traditional drawing paper. It's another medium. It's closer towards drawing paper, but not quite. You know what I mean? It's not exact. There's still some sort of anticipation, and there's that barrier between the screen, that little space between the screen and the little what is it called? Icon that you draw with.
Yeah.
But
the cursor.
My cursor, but it's definitely a lot easier than the drawing pad. But it's a lot more expensive.
Air is asking, do you recommend for people to upload sketches to sites like DeviantArt? I think we already recommended that. So. All right. So again, people, if you want to ask a question, please put the word question in all capitals before your question so that I'm able to see it. Because I'm passing a bunch, and it's just because I'm looking for the question. So if you don't want to get your question missed, you should do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really good.
Gingerino asks, Sycra, who do you think is hotter, Jetty or Cynics? I'm gonna have to put this one on Jetty. I would say I think Jetty is.
No. That's a very weird question. But
That's a very subjective question, but if you just want my personal opinion, I'm sorry, Cynics, but.
Oh, Cynics. Sorry, buddy.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, that's hella off topic, but some people are hella funny. Now I will be doing a rough sketch over my rough sketch. I'm not gonna call it inking because I don't think I want to ink. If I ink, it's gonna take forever. I'm gonna do a kind of a looser kind of technique. It's gonna allow me to move faster. Like the wind.
Yep. So, do you usually? How many stages would you do? Like, let's say you were inking. Would you ink over this, or are you doing a second sketch and then ink over that one?
Yeah, I would normally ink over this. But right now I'm gonna do a loose kind of a sketch over, which is close to inking. But I'm not going to be trying to get every line just so perfect. Like, this line has to be this line. The next line has to be that line. It's going to be a lot looser. Like, I'm still going to ink. I mean, I'm still going to do a rough draft. Like, okay, this is a rough draft. This is really loose. It's going to keep my hand loose. And, yeah, this is a way where it will lend itself towards the painting process for me.
Do you use any stabilizer stuff with Manga Studio?
Yeah, the stabilizer's at well, all the way 5%. Five bars, whatever that means. If you go to the 1 bar, I don't really feel a difference. well, a little bit. You see how that hooked up a little bit right here? Just did a little hook. I feel like maybe that's a jitter. So if you go to 5, it'll have less tendency to hook. Yeah. It's kind of nice. And I think it's kind of a crutch too. I'm getting too used to it. Bad. Bad.
All right. Longarm asks, is there anything in Photoshop that you miss or prefer to Manga Studio?
I think the textured brushes and just being able to customize your brushes really nicely. But I talked to my other friend, John. You know John.
I know John.
Yeah.
John Silva.
No, the other John.
John with 2 N's? John Frost?
Yeah. It was actually a while ago, but he introduced me to a big old brush packet that Manga Studio has. I still have yet to use it because I don't know how to input it, and it's gonna take time to learn. I'm just lazy. But that was one of the features. Other than that, I think Manga Studio has. I'm want to say it, superior features.
Oh no, you didn't.
I did that one.
You did it.
I did it.
You did it, now you have to clean it up, Jet.
Oh, gotta clean it up after I did.
Okay.
Sycra.
Jenny asks, how long did it take before you guys were happy with your drawing styles?
Not very long. Not very long.
You're a lucky one. Mine
I
took me
think
like a year.
the style, there was never really, for me, the language of style never really entered my brain. That's the thing. That's the thing that I think that makes me different, is that when I first put a pencil down, I was just happy to do it, to just draw. And right now, I think my style is pretty, not really unique. You know what I mean? It's kind of just very straightforward. There are nuances, sure, in my drawing, but it's not a Sycra Yasin style. Like, I think you really Sycra developed his style. I never really tried to develop my style, so I can't really. Yeah, I don't think I can answer that yet. Maybe once I start trying to make a unique look.
I don't know. I think the difference between us is you kind of did it already, like way long ago, and for me, it was more catching up. So I realized, like, oh, okay, I never copied anybody when I was young at all. Like, you copied Dragon Ball a lot, and Akira Toriyama and stuff, and it's like, okay, that really helped you build a visual library. But because I didn't, I could draw realistically, or I could draw other people's styles if I saw it, but like I would have to look at reference heavily. But I couldn't do it myself, and I realized, like, all this time you were copying, you were building a part of your brain, and yours was like big and strong, and mine was all scrawny, and so I needed to work that guy out, and I needed to do it fast because I didn't want to wait. Like, because if you think about it, let's say you start drawing what makes you happy when you're 9, and then by the time you're 15, you're pretty good. That's 6 years. That's 6 years of practicing this muscle. So my thing was, like, I don't want to be that in 6 years. I want to do it sooner. So I had to condense it.
Yeah.
So I think if I was in your shoes, maybe I would have ended up in the same spot, just a lot sooner when I was much younger.
No.
All right. Darth Dio asks, I waited so long to finally watch a live stream, and Sycra inspired me a lot. That's really cool. And welcome. I was wondering what genre is affinity, and what do you think is more important when creating a fictional world? See, this is something that I've thought about a lot. So it's this idea of genres, and I think it's something that over time has become more and more of a thing. Because when you look back at writers like Shakespeare and stuff, it's not just drama. There's comedy, there's romance, there's like a lot of things that nowadays that would just be a genre. And when I was growing up, my grandpa, he would watch this TV show called Mahabharat, and it was like this Indian folk tale thing. And again, there would be everything. It's just everything all at once. It's maybe it's got a little more action or a little more drama, but it really wasn't. You wouldn't look at it and think like, oh, this is a romance, or this is a sitcom, or this is a rom-com, or this is a horror movie, or this is. It was just like, no, look at life. Life has all these different emotions in it. And I thought that was something I aimed for. Now I see the advantage of doing something more genre specific, because it lets you know what you're in for. If you're like, I feel really depressed and I just want to see a comedy to make me feel better, maybe you don't want to see like a crazy something with like drama in it, maybe a Holocaust film or something. So I see the advantage of it, but for me personally, I really hate the idea of genre. I hate that something is that limited, because I never saw the world that way.
Yeah.
And so for me, I figured, okay, when I make Affinity, I don't care if anybody buys it. I just want to make it the story that I want to make it. And so right now what I'm doing is making myself an artist who doesn't need to sell on my own work. Like I don't want to be in a situation where it's like I need Affinity to do well or else I'm screwed. I want to be in the situation of, this is my hobby, this is what I want to do, this is my expression, I've got the skills for it, I've got the time for it, and now I can really, really work on it. And the fictional world thing, again, I keep telling people I'm going to be taking like 10 years to do this story, and I started it in 2010, so it's already 5 years in. And I think what I see too much is, even from artists I really like artists who are really, really skilled, they come to it more like, I want to create a story, without thinking about, do you have a story to tell? Like, do you even have something important that you want to tell? And I think that comes with age, that comes with experience and wisdom, where you gained some things in life. You actually learned, you saw how people are, how people behave. You gain. I know with you, Jet, you've got a very powerful story. It's something that means a lot to you.
Oh, yeah, the story.
Yeah, and I think people start way too soon. I think people should be like, this is just my personal opinion. Of course, you could say like, well, how are you going to get good if you don't practice? That's another argument. But for me, I think people should do the stories once they really put time into it. And I really like J.K. Rowling. Her thing with Harry Potter is she made an entire world and then put it out when it was ready. Not before it was ready, but when it was ready. And then you don't end up with a lot of this stuff where people are like, oh, I like this thing, so I want to create something like this, and it's like this, and it's kind of like this mixed with this, and it's got a bit of... And to me, that's not interesting. I want to see your story, because to me, the fictional world kind of builds itself, and that's less important than your own personal story, and your own personal story is the heart of it. And Cynics mentioned that something like he thought it was lazy when people use their own story, but I feel the exact opposite. I think that's your one true original story, is your own story, and then you translate it. So you can take the fantasy elements and take what you really want to say and then put it through this filter and get something really impressive. But I think that's a difference between a good story or an okay story and a truly great story. And for me with Affinity, it's the one thing that I think is really great. And I'm holding on to it because I don't want to be like, oh, here's the thing, too soon. I want to develop it, and so far everyone I've shown thinks like I've only shown a few people, but they're people I really trust, and they too say like, this is great. This isn't just good, and so
I love your story.
Really important.
I thought it's so epic, and it goes on and on, and I'm like, wow. How long have you been thinking about this?
It's been a while. And your story too, because it's not the story of just. It's not a story. How do I say this? Like, it's not something you just think of, and then you've got it. It's like you have to live this to get to this story.
Yeah, I have to do research and interview, and I actually did interviews before. Already. But for me, I have a premise. I don't have so much like actual story and plot. You know what I mean? X structure, like story structures. You know what I mean? So I haven't like for you actually have like a roadmap. So it's just something I still have to develop in time. Once I
You get
save
there.
enough money,
Yeah.
because I'm just stuck doing work all the time.
All right. Marcus asks, if I'm 26 years old and at a beginner level, I'm still in time to get good and competitive in this field? Or I guess he means, am I still good enough? And how many hours should I dedicate to drawing each day? I would say as much as you've got.
Yeah.
Because, the age thing, it's really not about how old you are, it's how much time you have. That's the one big measure. Someone could think of it like it's how much money you have to go to this school or that school. Sure, that might be important, but more than that is how much time do you have to devote to your craft. And I think that's the only difference between a 30-year-old starting and a 15-year-old is like if you're 30 but you've got kids to take care of, you've got a full-time job, that just means you have less time to devote on your art, and so it's going to take you longer to get to the same level, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. And if you don't have those things and you're 30, don't expect it to take you more time. Like, okay, let's say there's a 19-year-old, they're going to spend 4 years to get good, and you're 30, expect to spend 4 years to get good. Like, you'll probably get as good around the same time if you're putting in equal work.
Yeah.
This idea that, well, it's easier to learn when you're young, I think that's true, but I also think when you're older, you have a lot more experience, so I think in the end it evens out.
Yeah. It's a really good point. It's funny because I actually remember thinking a lot about like visual library as a young age. Like at a young age, you see what other artists are doing, adults. You know what I mean? When you start getting a glimpse of how adults draw, like professional artists, they were doing some like basically what we're doing, right? And as a kid, I just thought, wow, they did that out of their head, like everything, just all the outfits and everything. I was just like, man, I'm not as creative, you know. We didn't realize the process, so it's funny.
All right. Sazdev says, do you usually take like favorite snack or drink when you are drawing? If yes, what is it?
Snack drink? I like a coffee. I like a coffee and a coffee.
Mm.
And
I
water.
I would have tea, but now I have nothing. But,
That's so dramatic.
Okay. Realis Art says, I'm 15 and want to do a mural in about 6 weeks based on the anime Steins Gate. I want to do my own piece for it, but I'm not really sure how. This is, I would say this is a pretty difficult question for us to answer because we don't have enough information on how good you are, how much experience do you have, what is your... I mean, this is a very specific question, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Naoki Kawaiful.
Naoki
Kawaiful says, Sycra, have you ever considered drawing manga? I love your drawing style. Yours too, Jetty Jet Show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've considered drawing. Like, my own stuff is going to be sort of my own style, which is influenced by manga, so sure.
Yeah.
That's
the format I'm gonna take is definitely manga for doing. Well, I just call it comic booking. I'm not sure what the difference is, but I'm gonna do a comic.
Yeah, I think people get really hung up rather on terms, especially nowadays. With like, you're doing a manga, you're doing this, and you're doing that. And even when I was doing my style, I get a lot of people who will email me or sometimes post on my comments, and they'll show me artists like, have you seen this? He's got a style like yours. I think you could learn a lot from him. And it's like, but I'm doing my own thing, you know? It's not like you have to do, Jet, you're making a comic. Does it have to be manga? Does it have to be read a certain way? And do you have to use it?
No, left to right, right to left. Too many options.
It's like, just do your own thing, because even these styles, all these styles, they started out as someone experimenting, and then someone else saw it and it's like, oh, that's cool, let me copy that.
You know, it actually goes on to I don't know if how long the show's gonna go for. Let's go 3 hours. I think I'll go 3 hours this one. I think I wanted
Three
to just
hours.
maybe stop at the inking, the sketching,
I
but
got. I may not be able to go 3 hours.
okay, let's go in 2 hours. So in the next 10 minutes, I'll just do the inks and maybe color some other time. Maybe.
Yeah, I could maybe push it to 2.5.
Okay, 2.5 sounds good to me.
Mhm.
What I was gonna say was the whole anime versus comic book style, and oh my goodness, I think I get so annoyed when I see like articles. There's this one article on Cron Prince. You know
Mhm.
Cron Prince.
Mhm.
How many anime styles can Cron Prince do? I'm like, who is writing this? It's like anime is such a broad kind of topic. I don't think there is a specific what anime is. Anime is just I think what Crown Prince is doing is just really like doll-like features, really pretty girls. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily call it anime. It looks very Eastern, sure, but other than that, like, it's not really anime, you know? Like he does anime, definitely. There's anime, but then there's this like they'll put in all these painterly looking stuff, and he's like, how many styles of anime? Like, it's just a term, and anime is
Yeah.
so broad, so many different types. It's just what's your definition of anime?
Uh, I don't. I don't know
Hey
definition. I
guys.
mean, to me, it's like animation. It's just the Japanese animation industry.
Yeah.
I mean, because anime is just okay. So the French word for animation is, I think, la dessin animé, and that's it. They just took the French name anime for meaning cartoons. And they just did that.
Hmm.
So comics, where it comes from is the original comics were all like funny. They were all so they were comic. They were funny
Yeah.
things. So now it's just become this format name thing. Imagine there were no names. Imagine it wasn't anime, it wasn't manga, it wasn't anything. And you're
Yeah.
just talking to some alien or some guy who doesn't understand any of these terms. What would you draw for that person? You know, it's not, nobody has to think like, oh, this is this and I recognize this. What would you draw? I think that's a much more interesting um, question than is this anime or is this not anime or what TV show has this been inspired by. And the other thing is, once an artist gets to a certain level of proficiency, like when you're around Jet's level, you can change up your style if you wanted to. Same with me as I'm learning the pointy chin style. I could do it more curvy or more exaggerated, but it's like, but that's not me. That's not what I want to do. It becomes less about, because in the beginning it's so impressive that you can do anything, right? Like I
Hmm.
remember, especially with photorealism, people look
Hmm.
at it like, whoa, you made the thing and it looks like the thing. It's like, that actually isn't that hard. To draw a thing that looks like a thing, that's not hard. To draw a thing out of your imagination that has even more life, even more energy, even
Yeah.
more gesture, that's got your own spin on it, that you can do. You can twist around, you can make it bigger, you can make it like a monster, you could turn a
Hmm.
microphone into a robot. Stuff like that, that's more interesting, that's more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but people always get impressed by like the most basic things, like, oh, draw a thing that looks like a thing.
That's not a
Okay.
photo. Look, it's not a photo.
Etc. It's not a photo. Oh my god.
What? Like, yeah.
Hyperrealism. Whoa.
Hyperrealist. I think that's the first thing we all gravitate towards. I certainly did. I was all about that. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
and it's like slowly peeling away because you start realizing the sophistication isn't in the realism. It's in
The
the removal of it.
simplification.
Simplification, thank you. The simplification of the realism and then
Yeah.
minimalizing it. The more minimal you can get and but being able to still capture that life that the realism it's like being able to do more with less. And that's
Yeah.
just so powerful if you can do that.
It's so funny because I grew up in the, as I've mentioned a few times now, like when I started reading comics, it was in the 90s, and there was this huge trend, like Tom McFarlane was doing it. Guys like Rob Liefeld were doing it, where they would just ink and they would put more and more and more and more, like more lines, more wrinkles, more like muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles, spikes on top of spikes, capes. That like it just didn't make any sense. But I, at a young age, looked at them and was like, cool, whoa, that's so much better. It's got more detail than the other guy who's just like more simplified and stuff. And it took me a while before I realized, like, oh, I was wrong. And then I would even look at, like, I used to look down on Disney and stuff because I'm like, well, this is lame. I don't. This isn't as cool as look at Tom McFarlane. He's got so many extra lines.
Extra lines.
Extra lines.
Come on, more for money.
You made one line, then you made two. Two is better than one, so this one wins. 400 line to draw a nose. It's got to be better because 400 I know is a bigger number. You cannot pull this one on me. You cannot trick me. I know you only drew the whole outline of face with one line. Stingy. You stingy chip. Giving me only one line. I didn't come here for one line. I came here for as many as you got.
Shit. Don't tell him that.
Don't tell me that. All right.
Oh, shoot. No, because what you're saying actually makes sense, right? You expect to get more out of more lines.
Yeah, but it's actually the exact opposite. The less you have. Yeah. I mean, think of it this way. For a basic, because a lot of people who think this way, think of it this way. Okay, you got a sniper, right? He's got 10 bullets, and he has to kill 5 people.
Okay.
All right. Wow. Now, what's more impressive, that he used all 10 bullets to kill 5 people, or that he used 5 bullets to kill 5 people, or that he used 1 bullet that like ricocheted and killed all 5 people? Like, what's more impressive to you? And the thing is, it's the exact same thing for drawing. The more you can reduce something, the harder it is, the more skillful that is.
Dang. Dang. You and the analogies, man. I reference them on my channel.
I put the anal in analogies.
In the anal and the analogies. Don't be shy about the anal. Everyone has it.
And you put the OG in analogies.
Oh, snap!
All right.
The OG.
Naoki says, or asks,
okay.
I have a lot of ideas but lack the ability to draw and currently learning it. As a 15-year, how many years do I think I need to learn a comic drawing? Draw 3 to 6 hours every day?
There can be, like, there are probably 15-year-olds better than me. So
that's like the Naruto thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen the episode with Naruto and then Kakashi is telling him, like, there are people younger than you and better than me?
Possibly. Is it from the first?
Boy. Yeah, it's from the super early ones.
Yeah, exactly. So how long does it take? How long does it take?
I don't think you can put a number on that, and I think it's more important that you do and not how much you do, because you got to get to the same point regardless. Like, let's say you want to hike to the top of the mountain, and some guy's taller than you, he's got really long legs, and then he's going to make it. He's going to get there faster than you, maybe, or maybe it'll take him less steps, or her less steps, but you're going to get there too. It's just a matter of time. So consider it that it's inevitable, and that the more you do, the faster you're going to get there, and then leave the rest. Like, forget the time, don't try, because this thing, I used to do this all the time. I said, I'm at this level when I was like 13. I planned everything out. There's some guy named Ghost59Able who seems to do the same thing. But I would plan it out like, okay, I'm 13 and I'm this good, so by 17, I'm probably going to be good enough to work for comics. By 19, I'm probably going to be a superstar artist in Marvel Comics. So by 30, I've got to be as good as Michelangelo. And then I'll be the best artist in the world. So probably by 31, I'll be the best artist in the world. So it's like, this is all nonsense.
To think about that, if it doesn't work out the way you want, then it's like, It's like, what did all that planning do? Like, what was that planning for? But I think
Yeah.
the good thing about that planning was your ambition is there. Your ambition is large and it's bigger than mountains, and you want to climb them. So I think that's great. But worrying about the date and time frames, not important. Not important. I like what you said, especially because it's my first Tumblr post on my empty, non-productive Tumblr. It doesn't matter when, it just matters that you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's the most important. Just matter that you're doing it. Just keep swimming.
Keep on swimming until you drown.
Until you you don't want to drown. You want to
Until you get to the other side.
until you get to the other side.
The island.
Yeah, the island, and there will be little currents that try to push you back.
Yeah.
But you,
Don't I know it?
oh yeah.
Some of those currents have names.
Hmm.
You can see those people, and they will try and hold
They
you
will
back.
try.
But
We don't give those currents attention.
Yeah. Okay. Crown Theater asks important legal advice for freelance artists. If it's NDA, don't disclose it. Probably don't want to do that.
Mhm.
What else? Don't steal anybody else's work and call it your own. If you're using photos, try to make sure they're your own photos. And if you're going to use photo bashing and you're using someone else's photos, make sure no one can tell. Like, make sure that these are completely obliterated.
Yeah. Obliterate your photos.
Obliterate them. All right. Question. Do you ever sacrifice health for your passion in art? If so, how badly?
I used to. Hardcore. Like I wouldn't sleep. I kid you not. You try it and see if how well you guys do. Because I used to like be so proud of myself that I could stay 3 nights in a row and just draw. 3 nights in a row at the table animating. In a row. All I did was like pee and eat energy bars.
Whoa.
And that was bad. I remember one night when I was doing that, nearing my finals, and that's the problem. I always set myself with these big old like projects that I know it's gonna be impossible to do, and I try to do them anyway. I was going blind. I went blind. Did I tell you that?
No. You
Oh,
went blind?
Yeah. I sat there, and then it's a dimly lit room because I only had one lamp. I went blind. Like my it was getting dark, and it was like almost I was getting dizzy. It was almost like I was losing consciousness, but I was still standing, so I was sitting, and it was just so dark, and only my peripherals I could see. Everything in front of me was dark, and I was in this kind of confused state. I didn't know what was happening, so I didn't know whether to call the emergency room or whether to take it serious. But I couldn't see. I got up to go to the bathroom, and I was just looking in the mirror, and I couldn't see anything in front of me, and only the sides. It was crazy. And I laid down, and about 30 minutes later, it went away. And that is what happens when you don't take breaks and take your health into consideration. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
That is like someone with an 8-pack of abs. That is hardcore.
Dude, I was stupid. Like I remember going to a trip to Las Vegas, and Las Vegas is like I think an 11-hour trip, maybe longer, 12, 13 maybe. I drove the whole way there and back by myself.
Oh.
Not well with friends, but I wanted my friends to sleep and have fun in the back while I drive because I felt like, I'll take care of you guys. I'll drive. Don't worry about it. And I felt strong, but now I get tired. I can't.
You're getting old. You're getting up in there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Being old is real, guys. It's real.
I know. You'll go to sleep and wake up with pain.
Yeah.
But I didn't even do anything. I just went to sleep. Oh, my back. Oh, my back.
I went on a trip with Becky, and I said, okay, I'll drive home, and you drive us there. Don't worry, I'll drive us. And then it was getting nighttime. I had to drive home. I couldn't do it. I will get in a car accident if I did it. I was just so tired. I was like, dang, I used to do this all the time, but I'm burnt out. But nowadays, I do this thing every hour and a half. I lay down for 10 minutes, close your eyes, and just relax. Don't think about anything. Don't even put on music. I don't even put on music. I just want to hear the air that I'm breathing. I want to hear the birds outside. Yeah. And just take breaks every hour and a half. And then here's a crazy thing. I actually read an article that led me to do this. If you take breaks, you will accomplish your task in the long run 3 times faster. Proven case study by this study that they had on the matter. So yeah, he was a writer and he wrote like 10 books or something like that. But then when he started doing that, he was able to complete his book 3 times faster. So you're only helping yourself by taking breaks. Can you hear me? Oh shit, I got disconnected.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I keep getting disconnected, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Javoian asks, Sycra, will you ever make a book of all your pointy chin sketches like what Kim Jong-gi does with his sketchbook? Because I would really want to buy it. Like, I would love to do that, but the thing is, this is something I learned from the convention, too. There's a lot of ideas that sound good, but the doing of it, it's not as easy as you think. So it's like, oh yeah, just make a book. Well, that doesn't just happen. Like, you've got to find a printer, you've got to find someone who can do it so it's affordable, reliable. There's a lot of things that go into this. You have to make sure you've got all the page layouts done. And so, yeah, I probably would do one eventually, but just doing an art book, and especially then it's an idea of like, okay, let's say there's 10 people who would love to buy it. A lot of these places, it's like you'll get a discount if after you buy your first 1,000 books, and otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Like you're just hemorrhaging money, and so it's like, okay, so you've got 1,000 books, cool. Where do you put all those? Especially if they're thick books like Kim Jong-gi, where do you put all those? Well, so are you going to have them in your apartment and then you have no room because you have 1,000 books everywhere? And then let's say, again, 10 people buy it. It's like, wow, cool. 10 people bought my books. Now I have 990 left to sell. Now what? And then, okay, so I have to sell them. Cool. Okay, so I've got someone in Australia and someone in England and someone in Japan who wants the books. Okay, so then you go to the shipping place and then you have to do that. Okay, so now you're shipping. It takes time to go take your books, put them in your pack to the shipping place. Even worse, let's say you're really successful. Okay, now how do you do it? You know, because I don't have a car right now in Romania, so it's like I would have to take it all in a taxi and it's like there's a lot more to think about. And then what if a book gets lost and you have to deal with customs, and then you have to deal with the people who are really upset, like I want my book and it's not going to be here, and different countries have different laws. And different places have different shipping, and sometimes a shipping quote will be like, oh, it's going to cost $50 for this, and then it gets there, and it's like, add on to customs $70, and then if those people don't pay customs, it gets shipped back to you. It's like, now what? Now I have to pay customs for something. Like, there's so much involved.
It's so funny because you're like, it's so funny. It sounds like you've considered it a great deal, and you're so detailed about it. It's like, wow, there is a lot. It's like, man.
Because even getting just prints done, it's annoying. It's like, oh, okay, so, hey, I got some prints done. Okay, what paper do you want? Oh, sorry, we're out of that paper. What ink? Oh, now your blacks don't show up. Why? They show up with this other printer. Well, because we have different printers, and this is a different type of printer, and it does sublimation printing. Oh, shoot, okay. So now go in Photoshop and fix all your darks. Okay, now put it through this. Oh, does this color? Oh, man. It's like, this stuff is not that easy unless you consider it that's your job. Like, either you have someone working for you or that becomes your job. So I think with Kim Jong-gi, he has a whole team of people working with him. He has a manager who's always got his back. Then when he came to the LA workshop, he had like an entourage of people. They were dealing with signing. They were dealing with making sure the tables are all right, getting like people in a line. And then all he had to do was sit down and draw, sit down and sign the books. That's not my situation. I don't have an entourage to help me. So.
Someday.
I mean, if there were people who wanted to volunteer to take care of all that, or maybe take a cut. Like if someone's like, I'll do all that for you, and I get 10% or something. It's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. That'd be great. Okay. Steve asks, is drawing a background important in an art piece? I hear people saying it helps things look less floaty.
I guess that's an opinion. I guess that's the opinion.
Yeah.
You want it to be important, it'll be important.
I've seen people do it both ways, but usually a background does, like, it does help to a point, but it doesn't have to be like super complicated. Some people, look at Art German, and sometimes he just puts like circles and stuff in the background. Like that's it. Not fancy, just some stuff. Sometimes it's more important about the graphic element of it. Like, is it presented well? And that might be a different question than it is the background.
Backgrounds definitely are. I mean, they always help. I mean, if it doesn't overpower whatever, it depends on what the focus is. What do you want the focus to be? If you want the figure to be focused, then push the background back, or push the background up and make everything crazy. I don't know. I still have to do backgrounds. I'm not very good with it.
Yeah. You're actually, that's a lie, Jet, because you're pretty damn good at backgrounds. I've seen your animation school stuff. Like, you're kind of like three or four different artists. If you guys haven't seen Jet's stuff, it's on Facebook, right?
Yeah, on Facebook.
Yeah. Like what Jet was doing in animation school, it's really interesting. And some of the stuff is very different. Whoa. Okay, CS Repraved asks, story related. If you're thinking of ideas for a world or character, do you ever get caught up with building the ideas to perfection rather than at least getting something drawn out?
Building a world. I think that's I can't talk from experience, but I've read and I agree that amateur's mistake is to make things too complicated, and specifically adding too much characters. But I think that relates to that is to make your story too complex, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like with writing anyway. When I used to write a lot, the most important thing is you take it in stages. So it's kind of like what you do with art as well. Like you start with like a rough thumbnail sketch, then you do like a rough cleanup sketch, then you do like the cleanup, then you do the colors, then you do the shadows, then you do the rendering, whatever. It's a process. So with writing, I think the most important thing first is get the idea down, and then develop it, and then flesh it out more and more, and you're constantly improving it. So I don't think the whole building an idea to perfection, I mean, sure you can do it that way, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary, because sometimes you come up with very unique ideas or solutions by not overthinking it.
Yeah. That's a good one.
All right.
We got more questions, or actually have more.
We got quite a few questions, but do you want to talk about something else?
It might throw us off a tangent. It was one of the topics that I was going to bring up, but it might be too long. It was about fine arts versus what do you like your thoughts on modern art and what makes it valuable? Because I came across a blog, a successful fine artist, a young lady, very young lady, probably our age. She's very successful. She wrote a blog, and I agree completely with her blog. She basically quit her job and found. No, are we going to talk about it? Should we talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think okay, if it's longer than 15 minutes, we'll just call it.
Yeah, we'll see it. Yeah, it's a pretty I think meaty subject. Meaty. It's going to require some talking.
Okay, well, we'll save it for another stream.
Yeah, let's save it for another stream. But that's what I was saying about the taboo and the controversial and all that outer boundaries.
Oh, the outer boundaries.
Oh, the outer limits.
Okay, Jackson asks, why do you love to draw?
Oh shoot, that's actually one of the questions on the thing ahead. Why do you do art? So funny. Good question. I do it because I enjoy it, and also I feel like I'm good at it.
Mm.
I think that was one of the biggest driving things was I felt like I was good at it. Like I was the top of my class from elementary school. So it's like, dude, I beat out all these other little kids. Might as well keep doing it. Actually, no. There were two other kids who I felt better that were better than me. But still, you know what I mean. You were among the top kids. But the thing, it's easy to win. Nobody else drew. That's the thing. It's easy to be the top. And yeah, I just held on to that torch for a long time, and then I just enjoy it.
Mm.
What about you?
Yeah, it's something that I don't need to really. I don't really wonder. It's almost like you wouldn't ask a doctor like, why do you still practice medicine? Because it's like, oh, wow. Well, I guess at first I wanted to draw because yeah, same as you. I wanted to be good at something, and the other thing is like I was thinking I could go into writing or I could go into drawing because I liked both and I was doing both a lot. And they're both creative, but I found like writing seemed boring. Like I always felt more bored when I was writing, and when I was drawing, it seemed easier because it's like, oh, cool, look, a thing. Whereas with writing, it's oh, look, a page of words.
Ooh,
Looks
goodness.
boring. So yeah, I chose art, and I don't know. I think I like it. And the other thing is, it's one of those things that it's always better the longer you do it. It never gets less. It never gets like, for me anyway, it's never gotten to the point where it's like, wow, I'm so bored of this. It's like, whoa, now I can do this. Now I can do these ideas. That's cool. Or it gets more fun because
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning you have an idea in your head and it's like, oh, I want to draw this, and it's so far from what you're able to do. But later on, it's like, oh, it's getting closer and closer. And there's sometimes I will draw like a face, and it's like, I like this better than almost anyone I can think of who does faces, and it's not because I'm better than them. It's that it's more me. Like I am closer at what I like, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's to find out who you are and what do you like. To me, or it took me forever to figure this out, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really good points.
All right. Um, Realis Art asks, what should I practice if I want to do manga? Do I still study human proportions, anatomy, and perspective? Ooh, you should know the answer to this, Jet.
Oh yeah, manga is just anime, big fluffy eyes, and no no structure. Just go right into it.
That's not.
It's exactly yeah. No.
No!
Sorry. No, you guys. Anime is
Manga. He's talking about manga.
Manga is very structured, disciplined art, and it's just like everything else. You should study your fundamentals, especially for manga, because it is very reduced and minimalized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the word. And therefore, you should study foundations and
The scariest thing for manga is it's like, should I study human proportions, anatomy, and perspective? It's like, yes, and more.
yeah. The thing is, because if you don't, that's what makes your manga looks really amateurish because you're going, what's the word? Derivative. You're derivative of a source of structure. Anime is based off of a real structure and proportion, but if you don't understand that, when you try to do it just based off of the anime or the manga that you see, face value. Hello? Oh shoot. Hello? Not again.
Here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, you try to do it face value, and just from what you see, it's gonna look really bad because you don't understand why it looks the way it does. Like for my drawing currently, is this a manga or is it just a drawing? I think of it as just a drawing, really. I just give her
Yeah.
big cute eyes, and that's it. If I change that, will it still be anime or manga? What matters is the structures, the principles behind making a working illustration, and that's basically it for you guys who want to do manga, especially people who want to do manga. Study your principles, your foundations, and figure drawing and everything.
Yeah. And it depends what your standard is really, because I noticed, like, I heard someone saying, "Oh, if you want to do animation, all you have to do is be good at drawing." But animation to me is like not that simple. And sure, you will have people who can do that. You know, they never learned anything, they just draw. But give them a thing where you have to have a script, and a person's like, okay, so this guy walks from this side of the room to the other side, and then he says, "Hello, how are you doing?" It's like, do they know how to do lip sync? Do they know how to time it? Let's say you have a guy running and there's a panning background at the same time. Do they know how fast that background needs to pan, how long that needs to be? There's so many considerations. With manga, you're like a film director as well, because you got to figure out what shot do I want to take. Do I want to do an up shot, a down shot, a medium shot, close up? What's this panel going to be like? Is this going to be too exciting? And sometimes it's like people will get really into the dramatic stuff, like, oh, I want it to look really cool, but that's not the sign of a professional. A sign of a professional isn't just like, oh, I created every shot in ultra cool perspective. It's more like the boring parts have to feel boring. The exciting parts have to feel exciting. If you make everything exciting, now the boring parts seem exciting, and the exciting parts seem boring because it's like you're used to it, right? So
there's a lot at play.
There's a lot to think about.
Imagine you are the cameraman, the director, the colorist, the everything, and then you're also the artist.
Yeah. And even with Jet, like Jet does really well with manga, but he's getting better and better. And when I see his stuff, it's like, whoa, you're doing better shots, you're doing better compositions, your anatomy, your structure. It's a lot more. It's just better. And so you get better with time as well. It's not just, what do I need to learn and then I'm done. Because for me, I'm still learning anatomy. I'm still learning perspective. I'm still learning composition. You only get, it's just levels.
Yeah, I think the last level of it all is, like I said, to tell your story, and what better way to do it other than to do a manga. And if you're asking how long does it take to do a manga or how much time, it's everything combined. It's like the final task. After you've learned everything, now you're ready. But even if you're not ready, what's that?
You are ready.
It is time. It is time. What I was gonna say, like, even if you're not ready, I think you could still do it and learn and experiment from it. But I learned from doing the manga. There's so many things that prepared me for where I'm at now and what I needed to know. And had I skipped anything around it, it would just make it a lot more difficult. Perspective, staging, composition, figure drawing, of course. All your characters and like gesturing. There's just so much to it, and yeah.
Yep. All right.
Well, we got 8 minutes.
We got 8 minutes. Do you want to take more questions, or do you want to wrap up?
I could take another question. Keep on.
Okay. Air asks, what website do you recommend to post things like sketches, work in progress, etc., like a blog?
Oh, I recommend DeviantArt, for real. That's a great one. Oh, but as far as sketchbook, what?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I think there's lots of sites: Tumblr, Instagram, DeviantArt. Yeah. Strangeline says, I just finished my sophomore year. I must have a portfolio done before my senior year to get a scholarship. How do I build my portfolio? Do I stay in my comfort zone or break a bit or break out?
Oh, I think that depends on what your school wants.
Yeah.
Especially what your school wants. If you want, they want probably examples of architecture and some figure drawing. They should have a rubric for you, for what they want to see. So depends on the school.
Ultran Third says, would you recommend drawing adult art, in quotations, adult art, to get better at anatomy?
Adult art? I guess adult art. If you're talking about nude art, I'm not sure if that's considered adult art. If you want to define it as adult art, sure. But we're all kind of nude without clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the best way to study it. If you want to like go into like porn and draw porn, I don't think that's necessary. You still can learn a lot that way.
Yeah. Okay. Laurie says, I made a wall mural. I'm 14 years old. What do I do now? You go to Disneyland.
Oh, that's a good one. Go to Disneyland.
Realus says, I'm 15. I have a basic grasp on anatomy and proportions. I've drawn for about a year properly, but I don't think that I'm that good. But I practice at least 1 hour a day plus school and art. That is not a... Is that a question? Hard to... Oh, it's just where you are in art. Well, again, it's your age and how much you do. These are just numbers that don't really matter. It's like you would have to show your art because you could be 5 years old and be really awesome, or be 70 and be really crappy, and you could be something like I've seen this too, where some people spend all their time, like they'll put 15, 16 hours every day drawing all the time, and you look at their improvement and it's like, dude, I know you're doing a lot of work, but this is not showing. Like, what are you doing? And then some other people, they just do, like Cynics is a perfect example. Yeah. He's not drawing all the time, and yet you look at his work, it's like, damn, you're getting better and better. And I think the difference between these two types of people, not in general, like someone could be doing 15 hours a day and be improving a lot. It's much more common to be that, but some people, they just don't seem to improve that much, or else they're improving, but it takes so long and so much work. I think the difference is the experimentation. Like, how much are you playing around? How much are you pushing yourself, or are you just doing the same thing over and over again without, like, because the thing is, doing the same thing over and over again, repetition is important, but only if you're paying attention each time and fixing your mistakes and improving. You know? Because otherwise you're just practicing your bad habits, so you're going to get good at your bad habits.
So true.
Okay.
So true.
Carnes asks, how do you draw people in 3-point perspective?
I got a video for that, and I think you do too, Sycra.
I don't know if I have people, but yeah, you should definitely look at the Jetty Jet video on how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know what it would be, because I'm pretty sure I've seen it, and it involves putting them in a box, right?
Yeah, that's the one. It's a samurai dude. I ended up doing. I'm gonna do one for the female too, and that's gonna be after my pose one. Stuff to do. There's so many videos, you guys. And
all right.
Yeah, I think that's it. So.
Yeah. Cool. Well. Your drawing's looking really nice. Those specular highlights.
Punching the speculars. I just had to do something quick because like it's coming to an end, and I like drawings like that aren't too punched. But lately I've been doing more specular.
Yeah, me too. I'm going crazy with the specular. I saw this Masamune Shiro book, and he's just. Everybody he looks like someone just dropped oil all over them. They're all just glistening, and I'm like, there's different things. Like, a part of you, or at least for me, when I used to draw, I'd be like, that's stupid. Everyone looks shiny and stuff. That doesn't make any sense. But now I've finally gotten to the point where I just look at it and it's like, oh, that's cool. That looks cool.
It's just appealing.
It's just appealing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything more than that. There doesn't have to be some big message. It's not like... Because a lot of people start planting in messages that need... And I notice this even more in fine art, especially gallery shows. Maybe the guy drew an apple, and then he drew a banana, and it's because he went to his fruit bowl, and then he picked out an apple and a banana. But then there'll be like this big... thing explaining, like, oh, this is an apple and it represents the apple of my eye, and this is a banana that represents the suffering of people in the southern hemisphere who have to.
Oh, the southern hemisphere, because the apple, they grow it there.
The banana.
Oh, the banana. and And I actually saw a video that's what sparked the interest of wanting to talk about the modern art thing. He was talking about a whole modern art thing, and he showed an example. He had his class. He's a professor at his art school, and then he had his class of master's students critique this painting, right? This painting of what's his name? Come on, man. He's famous. He splatters paint on canvas.
There's a lot of people who do that now.
Oh, come on, man. Oh, I know his name. Jackson. Anyways,
Jackson Pollock?
Jackson Pollock. Yeah, I said Jackson Pollock. There you go. Dude showed a picture of Jackson Pollock, and everybody's like, "Oh, it means deep and all. It's so provocative and all this meaning and all this crazy like interpretations." And then he lied to them. He zoomed out. It was just close up on of the teacher's apron, painting like dress. Like, what is it?
An apron.
Apron, yeah. Yeah. It was just the apron, and then it was just like, it was just mind blowing. You know, all these people gave it all these different like meanings and stuff, when really it was just an apron.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, it's like, it's really just.
Yep. There's another show on TV that was kind of like this, and what they had is they brought a bunch of amateur people together, and they said, okay, do some modern art. No. What it was one amateur dude. He had no training whatsoever. He did some modern art. And then there were actual established artists that did some modern art. And they got all the pictures together. I think there was 5 of them. And then they had only like the most snooty, professional, whatever people come look at it. And it's like, which one of these is the amateur and which one are the professionals? And they'd be like, oh, well, this one's clearly an amateur. He doesn't have this, but this one's amazing. And all of them picked different people. Like, that was it's like, they don't know what they're talking about. There is no standard, there's no metric for how you judge this. And for that reason, I think, like, I don't think there's a problem with doing it, but I think when no one can tell whether you did a good job or not, then maybe that's a sign that, you know, maybe all this is just subjective and there shouldn't be such big price tags on it when nobody can determine its value. Because it's a little bit like, okay, you've got some currency. Well, okay, if it's US dollars, fine. And then you have some kid and he's just cutting up paper and he's writing different numbers on it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this one's a 10,000. And then he gives it to you and it's like, all right, go. You can buy 10,000. It's like, 10,000 what? What is this worth? And I feel like curators, all they're doing is they're taking this kid who cut out the thing and it's like 10,000. It's like, this piece is 10,000. Now this is worth 1 million US dollars.
Oh shoot! No, here's another thing about that video. It's great. I mean, really quickly, man. He showed an example. What, like, somebody pulled. It's a modern art piece. Somebody pulled a big old rock out from the canyon, sold it on display for $7 million. What a genius! It wasn't even that big. Like, it could fit like in my car almost. Like, it's not. Well, I think it was pretty big in my room. But dude, it's like back in the day, classic artists they sculpt like David and Goliath, and not Goliath, but sculptures out of the rocks. Now we just sell the rock.
Yeah, because before it was like, hey, you know, this is impressive because not a lot of people can do it.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter of who's the best bullshitter. Are you the best at bullshitting? Then hey, you know, it's worth this much.
Well,
anyway,
I think this wraps it up, man. Thanks so much, Sycra. I think, man, I had a blast. I really did. And thanks so much for checking up on the conversations and the questions and joining me, man. What a pal. What a pal.
It was my pleasure. Yeah, and thanks for everybody who was asking questions. And I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody's questions. There are so many. We have 162 people watching now. That's
how many people?
162, but it was even higher at one point. But anyway.
Wow. Thanks so much, you guys, for stopping by, and hopefully we can do this again soon. This is the Jetty Jet Show. I'm Jet. That's Sycra. Thanks again for joining, man. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Take care. Keep drawing. And as always, Sycra, can you give it to them?
You're better.